Yes. Ah! I am pumped up. Pumped to talk about two badass action epics of all time. Braveheart versus Gladiator. What is going on? We have here, that's right, on Versus, the 27th episode. We got the legends. The legends have returned. They have returned. We have Kung Fu Santa himself, Rick Myers. Oh, yeah, in the house. That's right. Films of Fury. You know the book. You know the movie. Go out and cop it. Buy it. That's right. Check out Iron Fist and Kung Fu Flicks, baby.
Which I was in that for 2 seconds. Can you believe it? They flew me down to LA, right? Pouring rain, drove to the studio, interviewed me for like 90 minutes, and I ended up in the film, in the documentary for 2 seconds.
Oh, no. I won't play that anymore, just for you. And we have the master remaster son. Just speaking of Frank Jang in the house. That's right. Filmmaker, martial artist, stuntman, Kyle Wong in the house. Night Watch. Oh, yeah. We got a Night Watch party this Sunday at 4 p.m. Pacific time. Make sure you guys show up. We're going to have a lot of fun. Kyle's going to be there. Oh, some of the cast is going to be there. Oh, yeah. We're going to talk about awesome action movies. And, of course, we still got to represent the horror genre now. That's right. Mr. Tony of the Dead. That's right, Mr. Tony of the Dead, Night of the Axe, and 72 projects coming out soon. And if you're a movie lover and a metal music lover, that's right, Jax Beta Rippa is here in the house. First time on Versus. Oh yeah. Welcome. She hooks me up with the music and what's hot and ready, what's out there. And I kind of hook her up with the movies. Just like, hey, you got to watch this. And she's like, hey, you got to listen to this.
We do work on that a lot. And then
that's right.
As well with soundtracks, too.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. So this is going to be fun. Who got here in the Movie Dojo Army? Showing up, we got Lady Danish, Jake Hall, Heather Love, Evelina, John Martinez, Robert in the house. Oh, yeah. They are flooding in. So let's get ready to talk about Braveheart. Rick, I'm going to change it. I'm going to go first since everything's kind of working right now. All right. And then we'll go to Rick. So 1995. Oh, Jax, just really quick because you're new here. So what we're going to do, we're going to talk about Braveheart first. We're going to go around and talk about what we like and we didn't like about the movie. And then we'll talk about Gladiator. And then we'll vote at the end.
That's what I kind of figured, yeah.
Just wanted to remind you. So
okay.
So 1995. Let's go back in time. My parents wanted to go to the movies. And I was just kind of like, all right, what movie are we going to go see? And they're all like, there's this Mel Gibson romantic movie out. I was like, okay, I like Mel Gibson from the Lethal Weapon movies now, but what are you doing, parents? What are you dragging me to, man? What are you dragging me to? This romantic movie. They're like, there might be some fighting in it. I don't know. We saw the TV spot that looked like there might be some fighting. And I was just like, all right, I've tortured my parents, taking them to horrible movies in the past. So I said, I'll do them a solid. And I'm like, all right, I'll go with them. And, I like Mel Gibson from the Lethal Weapon movie, so let's go. I had zero expectations. I kind of barely really even seen the TV spot. Didn't really know anything about it at all. I just know it was supposed to be some love story. And I'm like, all right, let's go. So they take me to go see Braveheart. I'm sitting down, kind of enjoying the movie. It's starting. And then soon as they kill William Wallace's wife, the whole audience was silent. They were silent. They were like, what? Because, in typical Hollywood fashion, I'm sure the hero's going to come in, save the day. And that didn't happen. And just the whole prima nocta thing was already fucked up. Like, no, I wouldn't. You know what? If that ever happened now, I'd be doing the same damn thing. But no, we going to war. Fuck this. We going to war. And so when Mel finally started to fight back, the audience and myself were like, dude, this is yes. Kill these motherfuckers. Kill these assholes. We were like, yeah. And then I had absolutely no idea the movie was going to be this violent. I was like, holy shit, he just cut that guy's leg off. Holy shit, this happening. And you could see the rebels, the rebellion kind of slowly rise when William Wallace fights back to get revenge. And the whole, everybody was brawling, and it was just something raw, gritty, dirty, animalistic about the film. And I couldn't believe I couldn't believe what I was watching, especially when it finally got to the big, huge, massive battles. I was like this in the theater, and the audience the way they reacted to certain things. It was just a phenomenal movie going experience. And Braveheart, remember, you got to be there. 1995 in the theater, zero expectations. Braveheart goes down as one of my best movie going experiences I've ever had in the history of the theater. And him yelling freedom at the end, it got me. This movie made me want to jump out of my seat and charge the field. Okay? Like, I wanted to charge the field. I wanted to be the first in line to kill these motherfuckers. And, it's just a phenomenal movie, man. Like, it's one of those movies where, this is how I felt at the time, that when I walked out of the theater, it stayed with me. It stayed with me. I love the cinematography. I love the action scenes, the stunts. The score is wonderful. And it had great villains you love to hate. And I even enjoyed, Mel did a great job in terms of directing and stuff. But I even enjoyed the side characters, man. I mean, I loved his best friend. I loved his best friend's dad. That was the toughest old man in the history of movies. He gets his hand cut off, still fighting. Like, he's like the toughest badass. Arrow in the chest, he just breaks it off, still fighting. I was like, dude, this guy's my hero. I love that guy. And especially this dude. Let me see if I can find the GIF here. Y'all know this guy right here. Your island, yeah, it's mine. This guy is great. Wonderful. Yeah, it's my island.
It's
like
mine.
This is like so great. Like, especially I love the part of the movie too where he's just like, the Lord says he can get me out of this shit, but you're fucked.
You're fucked.
He's telling William Wallace. Like, some fun characters too, and a villain you love to hate. It just hit me the right way. It was the perfect timing. No expectations. I thought I was going to be some bullshit romantic movie, and it was just going to be kissy kissy the entire film. I had absolutely no idea what I was about to watch, and it stayed with me. And rewatching it recently in 4K, the picture quality is great for both of these movies in 4K, by the way, like beautiful. And rewatching it, I still get the feels. It still works. It may not work for everyone, and that's fine. That's what Versus is for. But it's phenomenal, and I love this movie. All right, Rick.
You got it in 4K so you could see them when they moon in frontal.
No, picked up the kilt, man.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Rick. Braveheart.
Well, it just goes to show what happens if you see it when it came out, at the time it came out. It's a completely different experience than watching it years later. Because for movies like the ones we're talking about tonight, which are both Oscar winners and both unique of their time, then you don't see, when they're this successful and this influential, if you don't watch it when it first comes out, you watch it later when all these other movies are ripping it off.
Mm-hmm.
All the other movies are doing variations. So when you finally get around to watch it, it's kind of like, oh, I've seen this before. Oh, this is so slow. But if you saw it at the time, you saw it in the history, the development of the cinema. And my situation was similar to yours. I was a great fan of Mel Gibson because he's only the second major filmmaker I'm aware of where his fetish is glaringly apparent. Quentin Tarantino is the first.
Yep.
His fetish is glaringly apparent. Mel, I forgot who said it, whether it was Judith Crist of the New York Times or Pauline Kael of the New Yorker. Somebody termed Mel Gibson's movies, especially with this film, because what you said was absolutely right, Samurai, which is when the woman died, it became a different movie. And that movie was called by this critic, All Mel Breaks Loose. And if you look at all his movies, there's always a torture scene. That's his fetish. And after that, all Mel breaks loose. And it creates an excitement in all the films that I've seen. And if you understand that now, you can watch all of Mel's stuff. The other thing about this movie, which became glaringly apparent with the next film, which is this is the last of its kind. This is a film that was made with real horses, real people, real countryside. And I don't care. And I'm a huge fan of CGI, especially how well it's developed. But even I have to admit that even though it's become super realistic and motion capture is all awesome, and the new What If animated series and the animation is becoming great, there's just something about the human soul connecting with recognizing other actual humans made up of flesh and blood, and horses made up of flesh and blood, and countryside that's not made out of digital ones and zeros. And this really was the last one. I grew up on David Lean films, Lawrence of Arabia, Bridge on the River Kwai, and all the other, awesome real epics where the filmmakers had to actually go and do it. And somehow I knew this was going to be it. And sure enough, it was. So as such, despite this, and interestingly enough, Mel Gibson's mental problems only add to the beauty and sadness of this film. And his scream of freedom was not just, we all know the accuracy of the history. If you go into Wikipedia, you can see they have a huge list of all the inaccuracies. But that's another thing I loved as a big Jackie Chan fan. I love a movie that also reflected the soul of the filmmaker. And when Mel screams freedom, he's not just screaming for William Wallace. He's screaming for the torture of his own psyche and his own life and the thing that will eventually sabotage him, his own tainted soul and sadness. So, yeah, very impressive film. Carry on, everyone.
Was there any nitpicks, any negatives that you think you would have tweaked?
No, you see, I knew the history already. And I don't really care if it's not accurate to history as long as there's a reason it's not accurate to history. And in this film, there was a reason. It was as much a story of Mel breaking loose as it was of William. He just was using William Wallace's story as his ticket to ride. And as such, I forgave it everything. I didn't have any. I loved the soundtrack.
Yeah.
I loved. It was just a great experience in the movie theater. It made me miss more than, I'm sorry I sort of did this show because it reminds me of how much I miss that kind of cinema experience. I don't miss as much now because I have a big screen and beautiful stereo, and all the screens that I go to in Connecticut are pretty small. But when I went to this one, it was Babu, and it was the last of its kind.
Copy that. Kyle.
So I agree with Rick that if you saw this way after it came out, all the films that ripped it off, parodied it taints it in a way. And this was my first time watching the film, knowing that all the parodies that came out and everything else. But I actually watched it with a fresh, open mind, and I sat there watching it, and still to this day, Mel Gibson knows what he's doing when he's a director and an actor. And I praise him for actually, well, as Rick said, like went all out shooting on the actual countryside, getting actual practical horses that get cut up during the whole invasion where those soldiers are trying to take his wife in the beginning. And I just remember it was just like this built good setup of who William Wallace is, why he chooses not to fight alongside his countrymen, even after his father and brother die. And then once his wife is getting attacked, he finally gets a chance to save her. But in the end, he realizes, oh, she didn't meet me. And it cuts, like you said, Samurai, it cuts to the fact that these English soldiers are killing her right then and there. I was like, oh, shit, okay. We're going this route. Okay. And yeah, I just there's not much I could say about this because I'm not a history buff or anything else, but I appreciated how this film was shot and just how we see Mel Gibson just rallying all the Scotsmen exactly like that, and how he says, "Oh, You might have heard the legends about me, like shooting fire thunderbolts out of my ass.
William Wallace is 12 feet tall.
I'm just like, man, we could go through as many historical like figures where they say Guan Yu is like 9 feet tall and just standing with the staff. I'm like, man, I want to meet a 9 feet tall warrior like that and just be like, no, I don't want to mess with you. But other than that, like, Mel Gibson did a really great job all the way from beginning to end, and I got nothing more to say to that.
Oh, go ahead.
The nitpicks is it's going to be the same thing as Gladiator mostly because I have not seen both these films when they came out, and it is going to be the fact that meme culture and the parodies have just tainted everything pretty much.
Right. It's funny you brought up the horses and stuff like that. That was one of the. I remember several interviews with Mel, and they were saying, "How could you do that to the horses?" And he's like, "Well, no horses got injured.
Yeah.
Like there's like very small minimum use of computer technology.
Mm-hmm.
Like the one where the horse got impaled with the hole to that scene.
Yeah.
That stick was computer imagery. No animals got hurt, but I remember constant interviews, and then I remember this one lady saying to Mel, "Did you have to make it that violent? It's just overboard with the violence. Why'd you do it?" And Mel's like, "Because it's fucking war." Actually, you didn't use the F word. He's like, "It's war. War should be scary. War should be violent. This is how it should be." So I thought that was funny. Jax, go ahead.
Oh,
good
okay.
and bad. Go for it.
I don't have the same love for Mel Gibson as you guys do.
Okay.
I just never liked them.
Okay.
My family loved them. Okay, so I went in. It was about. My mom and everyone else in my family tried to get me into it, and I was like, nah. Fuck no.
Uh-huh.
So I did not know there was a love story. I didn't know any of that. The one thing I always heard was about the ending. So, and it's funny because I was confused not confused, but eventually I was confused until Samurai here told me what really happened. I was like, oh, I thought they cut his junk off. Like, I didn't know it was the intestines, because that's what I was told, because I guess a lot of other people around me thought that's what happened. So that's what I was told. And I was expecting to see some guy raise the junk up, and I was heavily disappointed because that didn't happen. So the ending did nothing for me. I did not give a fuck about the ending. So I'm just going to be straightforward with that.
All right.
However, I did enjoy the movie, but I don't think I would rewatch it again. It was enjoyable. Okay. I did like the scenery. I did like that they actually went out there and filmed. That was great difference from Gladiator. Let's just say that. And I knew right away with both these movies they were going to be historically accurate. So I it's kind of hard to do it anyways. So
yeah.
But I like the child acting, and I don't like children at all. And especially child actors, because I feel like all the children that try to do an adult movie, they look like they haven't left the set of Nickelodeon. So I did like that got the feels to me. I'm not gonna lie. Those first 10 minutes, I was like, wow, I actually feel bad for these kids. So, and I like right away, because you knew I was gonna like the violence in this and everything.
Oh, yeah.
So the first 10 minutes when I saw all those people hung, it was like looking at a Cannibal Corpse album, the Suicidal Gallery. So that was beautiful right there. I loved it.
Yeah.
So I like that. So, however, if you would have told me, and I'm glad you didn't, though, because if you would have told me that this was a love story, I would have been like, fuck you, I'm not doing this.
Yeah, that's why I was
because
like,
I'm not a big
Mom
romantic.
and Dad, what are you doing to me?
It was still like, I still couldn't get into the romance. Like, literally, I was just like, hurry it up. I really don't care about you both. It's just, I just couldn't. Yeah, it's like, no, I don't even like romance in my favorite anime, Sailor Moon. I hated her boyfriend. I wanted her to end up with her kidnapper.
Right.
But besides all of that, it was a really good movie. Yeah. I did enjoy it.
Okay.
And I understand before somebody tells me, like, well, the point was because of the relationship, and what was the thing called? I forgot what they called it, but basically the kidnapping of the brides and everything.
Right.
Really, I would have been just, huh?
Prima
Prima
Nocta.
Nocta.
Prima Nocta. Okay, I would have been fine with just that. To tell you the truth, I would have been able to follow it. But I understand how not everyone that wouldn't have not captured everybody's attention. So
Yeah.
Other than that, like the nitpickiness that I had with it, but it's kind of the same thing with Gladiator. So I don't know if I should just wait to Gladiator and say it. So I guess I'll just do that. There's one certain nitpickiness to it, but other than that, yeah, it was just with the love story, and I just
say it
don't.
now. Say it now while it's in your head, so you won't forget.
Oh, okay, fine. Well, it's just
It's
because,
okay.
like, okay, I try to keep this out because I come more from like the makeup artist background, but especially in the 90s, they were very heavily about this, like making their actors look good. I was just not convinced that Mel Gibson got his ass beat because of how perfect his face was.
Okay.
So that's just a nitpickiness right there.
From the
because
makeup
when I
department.
went to school and everything, they were like, no, you got to make it look as realistic as possible. But it's also, you got to remember, they have agents. They want them to look good at all times. I was just never convinced that Mel Gibson got the shit beaten out of him.
Okay.
He was too pretty. Oh, and then at the end when they're stretching him out or whatever,
Uh-huh.
how is it all this is red, but yet this I could see all the foundation. So that's the same nitpickiness I had with Gladiator too. But then again, I have to tell myself it was a different time. They have all these people around them. They're like, no, even in wrestling it happened. Fucking The Rock had to look pretty the whole time because he had to film the go too. So even in wrestling it happens.
All right.
But yeah, that's my huge
copy
nitpickiness, but I also know it's out of my control.
So more facial damage, a little bit more.
Come on. You're gonna get kicked left or right in the fucking face. And you mean you're not gonna tell me you're gonna have like swells for days or months.
Jax, come on. We all live in a world of physiology-free video games now. You're going to complain about that after watching John Wick 3? Come on.
I don't think she's seen John Wick 3.
I haven't, yeah. No.
Any movie in the last 5 years. These
I'm
people
pretty
take
sure it hasn't gotten better either.
Countries can handle, and they don't have a mark. Did you see F9?
No,
Yeah.
she didn't see, no.
No.
I'm trying to get her back into movies, Rick. I'm trying.
She's trying to get me back because I've kind of lost touch
Yeah.
within the last 6 years.
It's interesting
Yeah,
point
if
though
that's
from
your
the
argument,
makeup
you're not
department.
going to be able to watch a single movie of the last decade.
Yeah, I agree with you, and that's why I just stick to anime and wrestling.
There you go.
There you go.
There you go. All right. Interesting point, Jack. Interesting points. All right, Tony.
Well, this was the first time I watched it in years, and I didn't get to see it in the theater. I saw it when it came out to rent, and it was like on the double tape because it was that long of a movie. And I have a different experience watching it now than I did then, because back then it still affected me with the way what they did to his wife, and all that, like how he didn't want to even go to the meeting to like form anything, and then it's just like fuck that, I'm taking them all on. And now I watch it from a totally different perspective. Like, what if that was my wife? And I'm picturing my wife that, and it's like I'd do the same thing. Like I would go ape shit. And I found myself actually, tearing up a few times thinking of this stuff because I'm big emotional baggage, and I'm a teddy bear.
Oh.
I've been told. And it's just, it's a different experience now, but like I still really loved watching it. And I found myself after all these years of not seeing it, I'm still quoting the whole thing, like as I'm going, which my wife hates, but like, I go, you saw Braveheart, right? She goes, yes, you talked about it all the time. You talk about it all the time, which I don't, but I've mentioned it probably enough times that she knows that. But it's just, it's such a, I don't know the inaccuracies, but I don't care because the movie is good to me,
Right.
Steven's my favorite in the movie. He's great. I love how you think it's going to be him to come in and take Wallace out, but it's actually
Yeah.
he's saving him. I didn't like him anyway. He wasn't right in the head,
Right in the head.
Yeah, he's great. And he's like, this can't be William Wallace. I'm prettier than this man. They like think he's nuts. He's great. And then like it's like they're having that wedding in the beginning, and then everything's nice and fine, and then the soldiers come in and it just turns into shit. Oh, it's touching. And then I didn't know that about the horses though. I mean, I never figured they didn't get killed or anything, but like
no.
I wondered how do they do that? Because it's very
Yeah.
convincing. You
Yeah.
know, even for back
95.
then. I guess the one nitpick I would have is that, believe it or not, I wish it was longer because I feel
Oh,
like all of
wow.
a sudden we get to him and bam, he's caught, and then that's the end of the movie.
Oh,
I feel like it goes quick there.
I agree.
interesting.
Yeah, I even though it's what, like 2.5 hours or something.
3 hours.
3 hours.
Almost, yeah.
I wanted it. I sat down 3 hours and watched it. That's how much I like this movie. It's like one of my top movies, and
Nice.
yeah, I really like it. And
All right.
that'd be my nitpick, really.
Just be longer.
But I understand what Jack says about the makeup and that too, because I do that constantly with newer movies with like things that like, well, why didn't they just do this instead? Like it's in the script, okay. You know,
I get to do my, I was the guy who, for the first time, got special effects makeup artists like Dick Smith, Rick Baker, Tom Savini, all these guys I promoted. I was one of the guys who cut through Starlog and my books and all these and Famous Monsters. I put them all on the cover. So believe me, I've visited all their places. I promoted them all these years. So believe me, I know what you're talking about from a they know what you're talking about from a makeup.
Yeah. Mhm. Yeah.
But again, seeing what makeup has become since then, I mean, at least they have a scar. There's a scene in F9 where they're thrown across the car goes like this. They land with all the windows broken,
and they're fine.
No seat belts, no
glass cuts,
airbags, and they're side by side without a scratch.
Oh man!
Without a bruise.
Oh my goodness!
And again, John Wick goes
right.
The top of the hotel, Continental, hits the metal fire escape, goes straight down, doesn't even land on mattresses or in a dumpster. He goes face first on the sidewalk from at least 6 stories, if not 10 stories, not a scratch. So listen, Jax, you got a lot to look forward to.
Hey, you got a new series on your channel now, Jax. You're going to point out.
I don't think my audience is going to care about that.
It'll be fun for us.
I actually want to know your opinion on Guns Akimbo's Samara Weaving's look on that.
Oh,
if that ever happens.
What?
Okay, yeah, I haven't seen this.
Like what? See, Guns Akimbo, like Samara Weaving has like a beat up face, but
by the end, right?
Yeah, by the end.
I only seen it once, but yeah, it's been a while.
Oh, I was thinking, what movie is that? I remember that one.
Yeah.
The makeup's much better on television. I was watching.
Yeah.
I was watching Professor T, and he got beat up in jail, and they did some nice work.
Oh,
nice work.
All right.
Well, they did give Mel the cut across his forehead and over here.
Yeah, at least
after the battle,
a little bit. But
you don't want him looking like Rocky the whole movie.
But I love Rocky. That's the thing, because of those purposes too.
Oh, nice!
Hey,
you love Rocky.
Believe
That's
me,
awesome.
if Mel had his way, he'd get it all. It's not his decision, because you see what he did in his Jesus movie.
Oh yeah,
every single cut.
Yeah, he got destroyed.
Every single cut.
Yeah.
So what else I was thinking, Stu Samurai, with this, when we were talking to Kilpatrick, he said about the little boy in the beginning, instead of having him run up to the horses, he had him stop and turn and get the water and that.
Right.
I was thinking about that, like, and again, Jack said about the little kids. Samurai and I are kind of saying with the kids too, like, we don't want to say anything bad, but sometimes they suck.
No,
I have no problem. I have no problem.
They don't need to be there,
it's very rare you get a really good performance out
of the kids
kid.
in this were very good actors.
Yeah, they were good. That was a good point.
The little girl and that, like him crying, like that made me tear up. And then him having that flower years later, and she's like, "What's this?" And then she's like, oh, "It's the flower." That's
keep in mind, adults sometimes suck too.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. That's true.
But like,
Oh yeah,
and then-
Jack's pointed out a fun fact with both movies. I can't remember the name of the actor, but he was the one with the scars.
Chib.
yeah, he's
He
in.
played Chibs
Chib was in
on
both.
Sons of Anarchy, but
Yep.
she pointed out that actor's in both of these movies.
Yep.
Which is kind of funny.
One,
Frank.
one other thing.
Oh, go ahead, Tony.
That gets to me was when he says freedom. It's not exactly the freedom that he's when he yells it. It's the look on his friends' faces. They're just like, Steven just closes his eyes, like, oh, this is it, you know.
Yeah,
And that gets
good
to me.
acting.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Oh yeah.
that's all I want to say.
I want to see
Not-
Tony charge the field.
Yeah, it's not Robin Hood's death in Robin and Marion that gets you. It's the look on Little John's face.
There you go,
Very much so.
Frank.
If I were to charge a field, I'd be the first one to get hit by an arrow. I'm telling you right now.
I'll stand in the back. I'll just cherry pick.
You know the guy got hit in the ass with an arrow? That's me.
You guys are doing great. That's it.
You
Just stand in the
bastards!
back. All right,
Frank,
Frank.
Braveheart, a romance, rated R. I have a I have a different experience with this film as opposed to you guys because I've never seen this film until like 2 hours ago or 3 hours ago.
Oh my goodness.
I mean, thanks to this episode, I never had Braveheart. I never owned Braveheart, and then I thought, well, okay, we're gonna do this episode. I better go get it, and it just so happened, I was able to get this twofer, which is actually
Nice.
cheaper than getting Braveheart on 4K by itself because I already got Gladiator much earlier. But anyway, no, I think this is a fine film. I mean, you guys talk about all the cliches and stuff. It really didn't bother me at all. When I watch it, I wasn't thinking about those cliches at all. I was just, I was involved in it. I was immersed in it. I like the cinematography. I like the action. I like the acting. I like the music. And of course, the theme about freedom, independence. Let me look at. I mean, I hope Hong Kong still get to see this film. Pretty soon I think they're going to ban this film. Right? I mean, but yeah, I mean, the story was good, and I like how. The thing that I like the most about the film, it started small, right? It started, within this little family, kids, guys, and then it got bigger and bigger. The scales got bigger and bigger until you get to that middle epic battle, which was really well done. I mean, this battle fantastically done. Brutal. I mean, expected it to be brutal. I mean, hey, it's Mel Gibson, right? I mean, what do you expect? So, but again, I didn't feel that it was. I mean, I didn't feel that it was cliche. I kind of like how earnest the story was. I had no idea how accurate it is. It's like I was asking Rick, did he actually sleep with the Queen of England? I mean, I have no idea.
it's a rumor.
Okay, it's a rumor, all right. But I was intrigued because it's Sophie Marceau being the Queen, yeah. I mean, the scale of it, nice cinematography, and. I agree with Tony. I wish the film was longer. I wish, in the end, that final battle. I wish they showed the final battle. That battle that won them ultimately the independence. I was hoping to see it. I was expecting them, him to show it, but I guess it's not to be. But other than that, I think it's a fine film. I have two minor nitpicks about the film. One, the battle in the middle was so impressive that I thought that all the other action sequences that came afterwards couldn't compare.
I agree with that.
Couldn't compare with
that.
that. And that's why I was kind of disappointed that in the end it didn't show that final battle. I was hoping, you're gonna have this big finale with this big battle or whatever battle. I mean, it doesn't have to be big, but it should show the battle that won them the independence. I was expecting that. They didn't show it. And two, not enough Sophie Marceau. That's what I'm gonna say.
There's as late as 2016, Mel Gibson was saying that he has a 4-hour cut of the movie.
Oh my
and
goodness.
he was offering it. Sadly, because of his present reputation, you'll probably not see it because normally the studio would say, yeah, we can make more money off of this, but his name is Mud. So,
But did they film the actual battle in the end?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, they did?
No.
No.
That sucks. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Oh,
Go to
man.
That would have
check
been the
it out on
perfect finale.
Wikipedia, they go into detail.
Wow.
Release the 4-hour Mel Gibson cut.
I know. No, the 4-hour freedom cut. The
There you
freedom.
go.
Release the freedom cut.
Release the
Oh,
freedom cut.
Man, I did not know that. Wow, that just blew my mind. I enjoyed this actor as well. Very,
I thought
very
that was
great
Carl Urban,
performance. Very great performance. There was like a follow-up movie about
Yes, there
Robert the
was.
Bruce.
Always had
Uh,
very limited release.
with the same actor, same
Yep.
this guy.
Yep.
Was it any good though, Rick?
I
Do
never
you-
saw it. I
Okay.
believe it was only released in the UK.
Yeah. Okay. Interesting. Yeah, I didn't know if anybody knew if it was any good, but yeah, this villain guy, this guy was something else.
Yeah, that's my another problem with this film. I thought the villain was just a little bit too, too cardboard. Just a little bit too cardboard.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Patrick
Okay.
McGowan, man. Patrick McGowan.
Yeah.
All right. It's interesting. You said that about Frank about the middle battle being the best one. I
Right.
agree with you on that, but I have a similar experience with Gladiator too. So we're gonna when we get to Gladiator, I'll talk about that. But yeah, phenomenal. Everybody brought up some really great points. Snicked. And phenomenal movie. And now it's time to fast forward 5 more years to Gladiator in the year 2000. That's right. Directed by the great Ridley Scott, who when he used to make good movies, directed by him. Yeah, I said it. And but yeah, love his old work. I'm a fan of his old work.
I love Prometheus.
And this looked badass. I was already ready. Like Braveheart was a surprise to me. Gladiator, I saw the trailer. I'm like, I'm going to see that. I was already a fan of Russell Crowe at the time because of L.A. Confidential, which is a really great, badass gangster, cop and gangster movie. And I was already liked him since then. So I already knew he was going to be good in the movie. Went to go see it with some buddies, and man, I love the soundtrack of the movie. Cinematography's great. The performances are great. And, when it got to this scene right here, this. Wow. When it got to first he stabs the motherfucker twice. He stabs him and walks around. Then he pulls it out. Wow. And then he does "Are you not entertained?" scene and walks around. Seeing that in the theater. Yeah. This is not why you're here.
That's not why you were here.
There you go, Frank. Love it.
Love it.
After that scene in the theater, I stopped, turned over to my buddy over here, my buddies, and I said, "This is a fucking badass movie, man." Yeah. Yeah. Right? That was my reaction to it. Really enjoyed it. We'll get to my nitpicks in a little bit though, but overall, kick-ass movie, really liked it. But in terms of the performances, it was great seeing Oliver Reed in here. Rest in peace. Rick, this was his last movie, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so rest in peace, Oliver Reed. And really enjoyed it. But believe it or not, I mean, Russell Crowe was great. He killed it, right? But believe it or not, to me, I'm sure other people probably different, the standout performance in the movie that made me go, who is this guy? Was from Joaquin Phoenix. He really, because I wasn't really familiar with Joaquin Phoenix's work. I knew he was an actor. I knew he made movies, but I wasn't going to go out and watch a Joaquin Phoenix movie. You know what I mean? Or a movie he's co-starred in. But man, he was like, you want to strangle him. Like he wanted to, he was so slimy and perverted and evil. And just like he for me, was the really most memorable, outstanding performer in the entire film. I mean, hands down. And he would have these vulnerable moments, and then he would have these disgusting moments, right? And then and then I think one of my favorite moments in the movie in terms of his performance is when he goes down there to congratulate, the gladiator, the Spaniard. And we have the big iconic reveal of Maximus. Gluximus Maximus turns around and says his name, and his face is like, "Oh, this motherfucker's still alive. Oh, I'm about to." He just looks to his men, and the crowd loves him. They love him, so he has no choice but to spare him. And watch Joaquin Phoenix's eyes, his face. Look at his face right there. Like he's just like, I can't believe I'm making this decision right now. He wants to kill him. And he just can't because the crowd won't let him. I mean, he really, to me, was the standout performer in the film. So really enjoyed the movie a lot. When later, I got out, I was like, yo, Gladiator, check it out. Call my other buddies and then say, yo, Gladiator's a badass action movie. Check it out. when time went by, and I didn't pay attention to the Oscars, and they said Gladiator Best Picture, this was my honest reaction. Gladiator? That was my honest reaction. Was, wait, Gladiator? Wait, the badass action movie that we had fun with? That got Best Picture? Was there no other competition? I know it sounds like I'm being a dick, but that was my honest. You get honesty here on the channel. That was my honest reaction. I was kind of surprised.
You weren't alone.
That won and sweeped everything. Again, I don't know what else came out that year. Maybe they didn't have competition, but the thing is like the movie's so good and well done that I can't really argue against. You know what I mean? Like Russell Crowe wins, great. Like I can't really argue against it because it was such a well-made film. But it did catch me off guard. I will be honest with that, and I had to share that story with you guys. I was like, The more I rewatch it now, still really love it. It's still badass. Rewatching it the other day in 4K, still a kick-ass movie. I mean, obviously it's early 2000s, so obviously, some of the CGI isn't the greatest. They had to do what they had to do. It was early 2000, especially watching on a 4K TV. You really see things stick out. But in terms of badassity, oh man, there's some great stuff in here. Really great action, really great violence. But to go before I move on and hand it over to Rick, I would have to, going back to what Frank mentioned, the big first arena battle when they finally get there, and it's the chariots, and the female gets cut in half. And they had to actually work together, and Maximus uses his military skills to get the other gladiators together and work as one, and then they respect him after that. That was phenomenal. That was amazing. But everything else after that fell flat for me in terms of action. Even the action with, that's right, Sven, Arnold Schwarzenegger's bodyguard buddy, Sven. And I don't know, just look back at Arnold Schwarzenegger's movies. You will see Sven in all of his movies getting killed. It's hilarious. You were like, hey, it's that guy, it's Sven. But it was cool seeing Sven in the movie, having the big throwdown fight here. I mean, it was cool, him having his big moment. And this was a fun fight. But the tigers, sometimes the tiger effects worked, sometimes they didn't. Sometimes you could totally tell the tiger is not there. You know what I mean? I think even then, when the movie came out, I was like, okay, well, that's kind of cool, but, okay, that didn't look right. Something looked off with the tiger battle. But other than that, the other action sequences were phenomenal. And I really enjoy this movie. Really like it. All right, Rick, Gladiator.
Well, first of all, interestingly enough, the Robert the Bruce movie came out in 2019.
Oh, okay.
And was banned from UK cinemas because Westminster did not want a movie about the freedom of Scotland. So it may be coming. It was supposed to be on. Now they're still talking about it for Netflix and whatever. So we may get to see it soon. But it's the same actor, and it's a sequel, and we'll see what happens. Meanwhile, in 2000, here are the nominees for Best Picture.
Okay.
And why don't we all vote?
I mean, I have seen these movies, but you go ahead.
Yeah, I think you have.
All right.
These were the movies that were nominated for Best Picture that year.
Okay.
Traffic. Does anybody remember?
I saw Traffic.
Yeah.
Okay.
I saw Traffic.
Aaron Brockovich.
Oh God.
No.
I remember that movie.
No.
I haven't seen it.
Chocolat.
I remember that.
Is that Johnny Depp?
Yeah.
I have not seen it.
Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon.
That was nominated?
And it lost?
It won Best Foreign Film, right?
Huh?
Didn't it win Best Foreign Film?
Yes.
Yeah, it did.
So it
Didn't
wasn't going
win
to win
Best
twice.
Picture. Gladiator won Best Picture. Now, out of those group, of course, I and probably Frank and probably other people on this panel would go for Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. But the Weinsteins were not going to allow that.
No.
Yeah.
No.
So Gladiator just got super lucky in a very soft year.
Right.
Very soft year.
Wow.
Because
Interesting.
I remember going to see Gladiator and enjoying it.
Yeah.
It was only afterwards that I began to taste the, what should I call it? The NutraSweet in the back of my throat. I started to get the NutraSweet or saccharine. I started to get the artificial ingredient burn in my throat and the little headache from the NutraSweet, from the fake sugar. Again, I had been watching how movies were changing, and Gladiator, to my mind, even though I liked the director, not more than I liked his brother, Tony Scott, I felt was very artificial, but Ridley still could, make a good solid film, even though he was even then doing derivative movies that were familiar to other genres. He would do his versions of them. But to me, Gladiator was like a really good TV movie. The choice of shots, the way they did it, there was an artificiality about it, with the death of Oliver Reed and what they had to do to keep him in the film. There was just it was only later that I got a bad taste in my mouth and in my mind. It was like not a terrible taste. I mean, I wouldn't have spit it out. But I've had really good pizza and I've had really mediocre pizza. And I prefer the really good pizza because I've had them all. If all I knew was really mediocre pizza, then I would think mediocre pizza was really good, but I know better. So I was just kind of like, joyed at why I saw it, but I've never, unlike Braveheart, I don't think I've seen parts of Gladiator again. I have not seen the whole movie again, because why? There are better movies to watch again. Some of the ones I've already mentioned, the epic ones that I grew up with. So yeah, it was good, but not great as far as I was concerned.
Okay. All right, copy that.
Same with
Kyle.
the music, same with everything. And Joaquin Phoenix, absolutely. That was the other flaw. You nailed it, Fat Samurai. You absolutely nailed it. The movie's called Gladiator. It's not called Emperor. Who's the guy you remember? Not the Gladiator.
Yeah.
Right. Copy that. Kyle.
So again, I watched this right after I watched Braveheart, and thanks to meme culture, everything just like sort of ruined everything. But at the same time, once I started watching this film, everyone quotes like "Are you entertained?" or even all of Joaquin Phoenix's like mannerisms. The one thing that I did not remember, but it was everywhere, was when like you see Russell Crowe's character telling his army, "On my signal, unleash hell." I was like, "Oh yeah, this line was in here. I totally forgot about this line." And I was like, "Does anyone quote this anymore?" And I was like, "Only one person does, and it's Corey Taylor from Slipknot." Every time during his like sets, when he tells everyone just to get on the ground during this one song,
right?
And then he says, "On my signal, unleash hell," and he tells everyone to jump the fuck up, and everyone just starts jumping in the concert. I'm like, okay. But other than that,
how did I not notice that? But yeah, go ahead.
But other than that, like, I will say I do like Oliver Reed in this film. Like, he's the only character I like, and the fact that he had like certain funny moments, being this old disheveled gladiator, and then even trying to find connection with Russell Crowe's character, saying like, "Yeah, we believe in Caesar's hopes and message." Like, I knew him, and Russell Crowe's like, "You knew him? Well, he touched my shoulder once." I was like, "Wow, he actually went there. That's good." And then I agree with Rick, like how it did feel like a TV movie in a certain way, because I think this movie also pushed like a lot of the swords and sandal genre, as it says on Wikipedia. And most definitely, I do remember this like almost being like everything came to the Spartacus Blood and Sand series, even though that was after Gladiator, but it did feel
which was after 300.
After 300 also.
We got another one.
Yeah, so it did have that vibe to it of like, okay, so we could see where all these films took off of this kind of penultimate film. And yeah, Joaquin Phoenix's performance did overshadow Russell Crowe's like performance throughout the whole film. Definitely the whole like incestuous angle between him wanting his sister. I was just like, dude, I know it's Rome and everything else, but come on, stop it.
How can we make him more slimy and evil?
Like,
Let's
you
check
want to
that
fuck your
box.
sister. You want to fuck your sister. Stop it. The nitpicks, definitely the CGI tigers and a little bit of the CGI, and then finding out that they wanted to make a sequel to this.
Huh?
Oh yeah.
There- yeah, where apparently he was supposed to sort of come back, and it was supposed to be like this fantasy. I read there was something like that. Apparently,
What?
Son. The son.
the son.
Oh.
Oh yeah, the son was supposed to be actually his son. But there was
Yeah.
even like something in Wikipedia that said that he was supposed to come back, but then it was like fantasy, and I was like,
oh God.
why?
That was one of the ideas that was floated, but nobody ever really took that seriously.
Yeah.
What is about the son grown up?
Right?
Least of all, Russell Crowe.
Yeah.
Sort of like going, no effing way, man.
Yeah. And then I even read that apparently Mel Gibson was a choice to be Maximus at one point. I'm like, wow, this would have been a totally different movie if we had Mel Gibson as, and then we're having. I'm like, okay, but I think those are my nitpicks because just again, meme culture killed these films for me, but it did not deter my.
But you
experience.
enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Okay.
I definitely enjoyed
What
these
good
films.
moves.
All right, copy that. Tony.
Well, again, this is another one I haven't seen in forever, and to be honest, I've watched an hour and a half of it, and I forgot it was like that long, so I didn't get to see the rest of it.
Oh.
But I do remember how it ended, so
Okay.
that's
So
okay.
you remember.
I was thinking, like you said about the CGI, I was watching and I thought, yeah, you know, it's for the time it's good, but it didn't bother me that much. I was just thinking about like what it would be like to be there back then and see the Coliseum and like, you know, the things they did with it back then.
Right.
And then I always compare, like, what if I was one of those guys? Like, I'd be dead. You know, I'd be the guy that pissed himself and then like got killed. I have no faith in myself when it comes to that.
You would taken them all out, Tony.
You
Come
still
on.
gotta believe.
I would have hulked out.
That's
and,
right. That's right.
But yeah, I remember seeing this back in the day, and even back in the commercial for this, I remember how the tiger looked a little. You can tell it's not there. It's excusable. What are you going to do?
They tried.
But I do like Maximus. I like the very beginning battle for some reason. I liked how it reminded me of like William Wallace and them coming out in a way. But you know, that battle was pretty vicious as well. But then the whole Gladiator thing, I forgot about that, where they came out on those. What are those things called? Chariots.
The chariots. Yeah.
Chariots.
Those. And I was like, oh shit, I forgot about the wheels on there and everything. And then like it was as if I was watching that battle for the first time again. I was like, oh, this is awesome. This is awesome. And then he was like bringing them all together. And later on, I remember getting upset when Brachus dies. You know, and and
Ralph Fuller, the big dude, right?
yeah, but I
The
call him
huge guy?
Brachus. I call him
Yeah.
Brachus. That's the best too.
Yeah.
And I remember how it ended with him getting his revenge on him and stuff. I felt so good seeing him get killed. How do you say his name?
Joaquin.
Joaquin Phoenix. It was so good to see him get. And I never thought back then like I would back then I wouldn't have gone to a movie to see him, like a theater to see him, but now I would. It's crazy. Like he's such a good actor.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess he's a great actor back then too, because he's like you said, slimy. That's such a good word for him. Yeah, I mean that. Oh my god! And then the other one where he goes, ooh, like that gif. I don't know. I do like the movie. I thought it was good, but I don't think it compares anything to Braveheart. To be honest, I've watched Braveheart so many times. I've seen Gladiator maybe 2-3 times in my life and a half, apparently.
Right.
But yeah, that's all. That's all I'm gonna say.
Quick question. Storyline wise,
Mhm.
it works.
Mhm.
And everybody wanted to see Caesar die. But is everyone okay with this scene?
With the fighting,
I mean, just the setup. Do you really think this guy
Yeah, exactly.
would have really risked his
No.
life
No.
for
No,
I
it was
just
all out of it. It was TV.
like yeah, like storyline wise, like it makes sense, right? We want to see the villain die. He doesn't want Maximus to be a martyr, right? He wants them to love him. So storyline wise, it works. It just I I don't know. For this
I
scene,
don't-
kind of
I-
bothered me. It always kind of bothered me. I was like, I don't think he would have put himself at risk.
In
No.
reality, the first time he saw who it was, he would have done that.
Not only that, the point is that the whole thing is ridiculous because again, it's like watching it's like watching me and Frank fight. That
Ooh.
Frank is a young man
Pay for that.
who knows kung fu, and I'm an old bearded guy. So it's like to have the Emperor go up against the Gladiator. It's just like it's a fait accompli. It's nonsense.
It's like,
I mean,
I get it. He injured
The Emperor
him.
had
You want, I
chosen
get
a
that. But
champion to go up against the
Yeah.
Gladiator. That would have been something. But it's just from wrestling, Jax.
Right.
If you get a monster against a little.
Yeah.
what
little
was that? The
weak-
Sven fight, the Sven Tiger fight. I guess that's what you trying to do. Maybe there.
It,
Get the big guy to fight him.
it was it. But the one good thing about the sequence is that it puts us in a position of the Roman audience.
Mm.
Because the Roman audience, kill him, wanted
Right.
blood. By the way, I visited the Roman Colosseum, and I'm telling you, the energy there is not pleasant. It is not pleasant at all. I mean, thanks to the kung fu training and stuff like that, I usually can pick up vibes,
Yeah.
even if you're sensitive as a human at all.
Right.
Get close to the Colosseum in Rome, it's kind of like I'm going to the fountains.
You got a bad vibe, huh? Interesting.
There's a
Jax, there you
lot
go,
of
Jax. You got to visit the Coliseum now. You'll.
Oh,
pick up
I
some
know. I
spirit.
need to.
Jax
That's
will
one
meet
of my
all the ghosts.
Yeah, go for it.
Oh, I missed the super chat. Goji, thanks Goji for supporting the channel. He's a fan of both movies. And I missed one more. Hold on one second, and we'll move on here. Goji again. Oh, thanks again, my friend. There we go. He said there was there was competition in 2000, but only 40% of the movies could stand up to Gladiator. All right, so he's a fan. All right, let's keep it going here, Frank.
So, I've been a really Scott fan ever since I saw Blade Runner. I would always, despise my friend when I was a kid, and they were showing both E.T. and Blade Runner in Hong Kong. And I said, I want to go see Blade Runner. And my friend said, no, I want to go see E.T. You can go see E.T. with me. So we ended up seeing E.T. instead of Blade Runner. So luckily, I was able to see Blade Runner in a big theater in New York's Ziegfeld Theater when they re-shown it. So that redeems it. So I'm okay with it. But ever since I saw Blade Runner, I said I'll make a point of seeing every single Ridley Scott movie in the theater. So I saw this in the theater back when it came out. Very impressed. I like the storyline. As a Western and martial arts fan, this is like it reminds me of all the story element in the Western and martial arts. It came down in the end. I mean, the middle battle sequence, the chariot sequence, that's amazing. The opening battle is amazing. I think the opening. I saw Rick shaking his head already. But anyway,
Because again, I saw Ben-Hur.
right. I didn't see Ben-Hur in the theater. Right, I understand. What I'm saying is, like, the opening battle sequence is so well done. It just takes you, took you immediately into the movie's world. It gets you into this world of ancient Rome. So, I agree with everybody saying, yeah, it takes like you at the Colosseum when those sequences happen, you feel like you were there. CG were limited, yes, but they had to make do with what they could at that time.
Yeah.
I really like how they did it. I mean, I have no idea that like half of Oliver Reed's scenes were CGI. I didn't find out until much later. I nearly died, and I just thought that he filmed all of his scenes. I had no idea that he only did so little, and then they have to use CGI to recreate them. I thought that was really amazingly done. Joaquin Phoenix definitely steals the show. He's not a cardboard villain like Braveheart, like the king, and he gets his comeuppance, so to speak. In Braveheart, you thought, well, hopefully, you're hoping that Wallace will kill the king, what have you. But of course, that didn't turn out that way. But here, you get to see them fight in a sort of duel to the death at the end. So, like I said, in terms of a storyline that's similar to Western and martial art, that's satisfying to me. I didn't feel that, the sequences after the chariot sequence let me down. Something in my mind I just forgot. Oh, and also I love Spartacus, so this reminded me of Spartacus. This is like a little bit more a more refined, more sophisticated way version of Spartacus.
I'm Spartacus.
Yeah,
I'm Spartacus.
I'm Spartacus.
and it's Ridley Scott. I mean, beautiful cinematography, right? Beautiful color, beautiful sets, beautiful production design. I do agree that compared to Braveheart, it is it doesn't have that much heart in Gladiator as compared to Braveheart. I agree. Even though I just saw Braveheart a few hours ago, I was mightily impressed by it. But I was impressed with Gladiator too. I thought it was very well done. And it's one of Ridley Scott's better movies. And yeah,
All right.
really not a lot of nitpicking here. Yeah.
Copy that. All right. Jax.
Okay, so this movie for sure I've seen in the past because I saw it I think like a year later when it came out. Remember back in the days when we used to like steal cable? Okay, so my brother had the extra box. So and at that time, now I'm actually glad I rewatched it because not only was it nostalgic feelings coming back, but it just reminded me like I don't know, I felt more like a kid. So you got to remember, so I'm trying to also give like my adult point of view, and then I can't help but be drawn back to the little kid because I was 12 supposedly watching my 2-year-old nephew, and I did not do a good job. I don't know what he was doing, but you know what, he turned out great. So he turned out great. So that's why I never really finished watching Gladiator that much, but I remember a lot of iconic pieces. So finally when I like rewatched it made me like it even more, but kind of biased, but like it's what you guys were saying. Joaquin Phoenix kind of stole the show, and I actually really liked him more.
Mm-hmm.
And I could kind of relate to his situation with his dad being an asshole because my dad was kind of like that too, talking down to us, especially me because I'm the only girl. So I was like, oh my God, I feel for this guy. And then I tell myself, yeah, now if I was in money and power, I'll probably do the same shit to the old man too. I told myself. So I really felt for his characters. Like he tried, but I understand too, the old man, what he was saying is like, nah, he's not good for this. So I understood, like I was understanding both ways and everything. So I definitely agree with you guys that he stole the show. And I just didn't know how to say it either, because it's like I kind of wanted to say it, but I didn't know how. So, but one of my favorite villains has to be one of my favorite villains. And yeah, I know people were creeped out by the incense stuff, but honey, if you look back into history, I was like, if you look back into history, yeah. And also, I'm just more into like Greek stuff. I mean, I grew up on Hercules and Xena and the Greek and Roman stuff. I love 300. I haven't seen the second one yet. Nobody spoil it for me. I still need to watch that.
You don't have to.
And then it's like, and then I'm pagan and I'm more on the Hellenistic side and I worship Ares, the god of war. So yeah, it's just, that it's just it might be a little biased now that I'm saying it and now that I'm making more sense, but I also enjoy the fact that the fighting scenes it wasn't that bad for CGI, because I've seen some CGI fight scenes. It's like, wow, okay, it's just CGI. So but I thought they were great, and I was going to say the same thing with the woman getting chopped in half. And I think what I liked, especially in those days, is how they actually did add like female like warriors, because you got to remember the Romans were different than the Greeks. So I'm kind of glad they didn't really concentrate on it, but I'm kind of glad they put that in there. So I really like that. And I didn't mind the tiger scenes, again, might because of my 12-year-old nostalgia, because that's the first thing I remember, where the tiger's just coming out. And that's why I wanted to see it, which is so funny. What I've learned, I've come to watching these movies, Braveheart is more about war. Gladiator is more about intimate fighting kind of scenes. I've come to notice a pattern now after watching these movies. I think what it is, I'm just drawn more to the intimate fighting scenes than a war movie, because I've seen Saving Private Ryan in high school because they made us watch it. Great movie, but it's not my movie. So do you understand? So I think that's why I go more towards Gladiator. Because of that, I like how he was commanding it like it was an army. I like how he wanted the respect, and I like watching characters like that where they kind of think of you as nothing, but then you actually like price them like, look now, bitch, you're gonna listen to me. So I like stuff like that. Again, back with the child acting, the kid was not that bad. I mean, he wasn't great like the other kids, but the way I see it, you don't annoy the fuck out of me, we're good. So I think you're a great actor. So, but other than that, I thought like a lot of the characters were great. But yeah,
Han Solo's character was good in the movie as well. The actor,
but
Han Solo.
it's like you said, like Joaquin Phoenix kind of overshadowed the whole thing. And now that we talk about like, do you believe he would win? No, but I think it's like the reason what convinced me is like we all saw him injure him, so I knew for sure he was not going to go in as a clean fight. And the way I thought is like, well, he has all these soldiers around him, so if Russell Crowe tries to like kill him, then obviously the soldiers are going to come in to save. That's what I was thinking. My mentality the whole time I was like, yeah, no, he's not going to. Like, I didn't even think he was going to get killed. To tell you the truth, I thought the soldiers were going to come in. So that part kind of surprised me a little bit, especially because that general that was right there was like the one who backstabbed Russell Crowe. So I was like, oh, okay, I wasn't expecting that part.
Yeah.
But the great part about this movie, no love story. I mean, yeah, family love, but it wasn't dwelled out the whole time. You know what I mean? We didn't need an hour on that. It was 5 minutes. It was great. Loved it. And to conclude this, I just it reminded me, because I always told myself, if I get cursed with a child, I'm going to name my kid after Maximus. And I still stick to this day. I don't care if it's a female or male. The name Max is both. So, if I get cursed with a child, you all know the name of my kid. So,
all right.
We'll just be like, you're Jax's kid, aren't you? Cool.
I couldn't hear you. You actually cut off. What was that?
I said, if we meet him, we're like, you're Jax's kid, aren't you?
Awesome. We're going to know. All right, copy that. So we got some fans here for Gladiator. That's awesome. All right. Was everyone okay with this scene? Did we need the 5-minute, 10-minute monologue? I liked how this, like, well, Jax pointed out, the general and the soldiers are like, no, don't throw him a sword. He's calling for a sword. Don't throw him a sword to Caesar. I like that. And then he, because they recognize he's a coward, and Caesar gets his, and he's dead. And then Maximus falls over, he dies, and then his spirits go to meet his family spirits. I like that. I think they should have just ended it right there. Maybe he zoomed out and have them carry him out. I think that would have been a nice ending.
I think the main reason they had her do a speech was because, remember, the king liked her better than his own son.
Put the bow on it, and this is right. Let's wrap up the story with a nice bow. That's why that scene was there. But I don't know. Every time this scene comes on, this just reminds me of, like, if I could change, you could change. Everybody could change. It's just one of those. As much as I love Rocky IV, the speech scene is like, oh, can we speed through that? Anyway, that's just.
What the hell's wrong with that in Rocky IV?
I know. I love Rocky IV, but it's just one of those. It's one of those.
I don't know. I don't know.
Anyway. But yeah, both great movies. Oh, quick fun fact before we vote here. So, I used to be anti-widescreen. I don't understand the black bars on the TV.
Me too.
I used to be that guy, right?
Blasphemy.
When Braveheart came on cassette, double cassette, I went to Best Buy, ran over, grabbed it, picked it up, ran in line. I was in line like, oh yeah, I got Braveheart, wee. Blood, gore, woo. And then I looked down and I saw the evil word, widescreen. I was like, no. I ran back and grabbed the pan and scan full screen version. Came back in line. Woo, yeah. Fuck those black bars. Woo. Went home, put it in. And if this doesn't sum up Samurai, your boy, if this doesn't sum me up right here, I was like, hey, you couldn't see the guy stab through the junk and the sword came out the guy's ass on the other side. What the fuck is this? Because he stabs through the guy and it comes out the guy's ass. You couldn't see it in full screen. That's what changed my mind with widescreen.
And it was at that moment
I went back, took it back, and bought the widescreen version. And then I was like, yes, there it is, in all its gory glory. Yay. That's what changed my mind. If that doesn't sum up your boy right there, thought that'd be a funny story to tell. But yeah, I want to see all of the violence and the gore, goddammit. But yeah, it's time to vote. And actually, this whole time of verses, I've been having fun watching the comments.
Any highlights?
Chat is going back and forth. Gladiator, Braveheart, Gladiator, Braveheart. This is great. This is great. All right, I'm going to vote last on this one. Let's go with Tony. Who you got? Braveheart or Gladiator?
Thumbs up, Braveheart. Thumbs down, Gladiator.
Oh, wow, look at that. Oh, shit. All right. All right. We got one for Brave.
Oh, I meant I was going to do the thing, and then...
Yeah. I know.
But I could have went thumbs down, even though that meant I got Gladiator.
I know.
But yeah,
Braveheart. All right. Braveheart for Tony. Frank.
This was a tough one. I didn't expect to like Braveheart that much, because I just saw it, a couple hours ago. But I mean, they have great moments, but it still have flaws that kind of not sit well with me. And Gladiator, I'm a Ridley Scott fan. I admit it. I love his visuals. I like his craftsmanship. I think, Gladiator, with all its flaws, is in terms of craftsmanship, is a very well made film. And visual.
Sorry.
Go ahead, Frank.
I felt that one.
Go ahead, Frank.
And if we do this like 5 years from now, I might change my mind. But for now, I think I still have to go with Gladiator.
All right.
It's just nostalgia, and also the fact that I saw it in theater and all that up. But Braveheart, I just saw it. Maybe 10 years, 5 years from now, I might change my mind. It's a great film.
All right. Copy that. Gladiator for Frank. Rick.
Yeah, you're never wrong. When we're very lucky that we get whatever we choose will be right. It'll be fine. But yeah, again, for personal reasons, Gladiator for me, I had grown up, I'd forgotten, I had seen every Gladiator movie prior to Gladiator. And so when I saw Gladiator, craftsmanship aside, I mean, nowadays it's kind of like you have to work really hard not to do a decent looking movie. Right. And I'm a fan of Ridley Scott as well, but I also know that he's a derivative filmmaker and that he stands on the shoulders of greater filmmakers. And all of my favorite Ridley Scott films there are prior films that I saw where he got his film from. And I find it's a lot easier to make a good movie based on previous films rather than going off and doing something original of your own. So you already know what I'm voting for.
All right. Braveheart for Rick. Copy that. Oh, we got a quick super chat. Thanks again, Goji, for supporting the channel. He said he didn't watch Gladiator and Braveheart until he was 7 or 8 years old. He wasn't even alive when the movies came out. We have a youngling here, but he enjoys Gladiator. Awesome, Goji. Thank you for that. All right, Jax.
Gladiator.
All right.
Straight to the point, Gladiator.
Right. I thought you were going to say Troy. Brad Pitt, son. Come on. What was that?
Come
on. I thought you were going to sneak it in just for fun.
Nah,
Troy.
Even I'll admit Gladiator is better than Troy. Troy is for simple perverted reasons why I like Troy. It's like I know it's beyond not historically accurate. I like it more for perverted reasons. So
right. Okay.
There's like 300.
Right.
I like Brad Pitt.
All right. Kyle, go ahead. Who you got?
So I'm going
right now. Go ahead.
I'm going with the fact that Oliver Reed was awesome in Gladiator, and the fact that we got to see a lot of Joaquin Phoenix basically stealing the show in Gladiator. But the side fact is, every time he was on screen, I kept hearing in the back of my mind going, "Stepbrother, what are you doing? Stepbrother, what are you doing?" Anytime I got closer to his sister. Every time that happened, I was like, thank you, meme culture, for ruining this movie. I'm going with Braveheart.
All right, so you go for Braveheart. All right, copy that. All right. Who am I going to vote for? Who is going to win?
Oh.
Freedom!
I don't have a prop.
Oh, yeah. Authentic William Wallace sword, baby. Equal height and everything. So, today, on Versus, Braveheart gets it. All right.
What did the internet vote for?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm going to play that right now. This is probably in the history of Versus, this is the closest the internet has voted for. Check this out. This is like the closest ever in history.
Yo.
Look at that.
50 the other day.
I know, right?
Yeah.
That was look how close that is. It's never usually that close. It's usually one destroys the other pretty
Yeah.
pretty easily.
If Sophie Marceau is in the film more, I probably would have voted for Braveheart.
I thought you were gonna vote for Braveheart at first.
I need
Yeah.
time to absorb it. You know what I mean? Because I just saw it, right? I mean,
Yeah.
so,
No, it's awesome. It makes things interesting, mixes it up when you choose the other movies. So that's awesome, Frank, that you like
Usually
that.
the newer film wins as well. So.
Yeah.
Usually.
That's why I'm very surprised. I'm very surprised. Well, this was fun. Another badass episode of Versus. Awesome having Jax be the Ripper here, representing Gladiator. That's right. Oh, yeah. And make sure you go to her channel and subscribe if you love metal and hard rock and all kinds of awesome music. And she'll be, just for fun, she'll throw some movie stuff on there just for fun. Head over there, subscribe to Mr. Tony of the Dead Son. Oh, yeah. That's right. Keep an eye out for Night Watch. Kyle, that's right. Check out the trailer
This
now and
Sunday.
join us Sunday, baby.
Oh,
Night Watch
This
party.
Sunday will be released.
That's right. It will be released Sunday. Exclusives will be shown here, 4 o'clock on Sunday. And the Master Remaster. That's right. Frank Jang, follow him. That's right. Go out there and buy them 88 films, Eureka, all that good stuff. Well, go USA. And you know your boy, Rick Myers. That's right. Follow him. Information to follow his Action Autopsy podcast is in the description box below. I'd like to thank all you badasses for watching. Stay tuned for the next verses and join me tomorrow at 4 p.m. Pacific time, not 6 tomorrow. Vincent Lin will be here hanging out with us. Badass martial artist. He's the Renaissance man. This guy's done everything. He's a phenomenal human being, and he'll be hanging out with us tomorrow. So join us then. Until then, keep watching movies. I'll see you badasses next time. Take care, guys.